Let's dive into the fascinating world of voice transformation in English, specifically focusing on the past continuous tense. When we talk about changing from active to passive voice, we need to understand the roles of the subject, verb, and object in a sentence. In an active voice sentence, the subject performs the action. For example, the teacher was explaining the lesson. Here, the teacher is the subject, was explaining is the verb, and the lesson is the object. The action is clear. The teacher is doing something. Now, when we switch to passive voice, the focus shifts from the doer to the receiver of the action. So, to convert our example into passive voice, we start with the object of the active sentence. The lesson becomes the subject. We then use the appropriate form of the verb, to be, and the past participle of the main verb. For the past continuous tense, the structure in passive voice is subject plus was slash were plus being plus past participle. So, the lesson was being explained by the teacher. Here, the lesson is now the subject, was being is our helping verb, and explained is the past participle of the verb explain. Let's break this down further. The helping verb was is used because our original sentence was in the past continuous tense. If the subject were plural, we would use were instead. So, if we had the students were discussing the project in passive voice, it would become the project was being discussed by the students. Notice how the focus has shifted. Instead of emphasizing who is doing the action, we highlight what is happening to the object. This is a key feature of passive voice. It allows us to either emphasize the action itself or the recipient of that action. Now, let's look at the rules for transforming sentences from active to passive. First, identify the subject, verb, and object in the active sentence. Next, move the object to the front to become the new subject. Then, choose the correct form of to be based on the original subject and tense. Finally, add being and the past participle of the main verb. It's also important to note that sometimes the doer of the action can be omitted in passive voice, especially if it's not important to the context. For instance, the book was being read doesn't need to specify who was reading it. In summary, transforming active voice sentences in the past continuous tense to passive voice involves a clear understanding of the subject, verb, and object. By following these steps and using the correct forms of to be and the past participle, you can easily navigate between active and passive constructions. This skill not only enhances your writing, but also helps you convey information in a more nuanced way.